Hello, my friends. Let's talk about the full moon that is on June 11th. It's a fun one. It's fun. It's in Sagittarius. It's so light and airy. Definitely have a flair of authenticity is certainly necessary. We have an awful lot of energy that is with the sun in Gemini and the moon in Sag. We're surrounded by questions and conversations and constant mental stimulation. That's the Gemini season. But with this full moon in Sag, it's adding to it, right? And this energy is mutable energy. So we have the air and the fire energy of these two, but they're both mutable. And it creates this quick, but sometimes scattered energy. And with that moon in Sag, that Sagittarius is seeking wisdom and experience and perspective. And Sag doesn't want just facts or just information. It wants to understand the truth and really like live with the meaning and dig in deep to understand things from a more visceral perspective, if you will. Sagittarius loves to experience life and to dig in deep. But one of the things that is, excuse me, one of the things that is quite unique about this full moon in Sagittarius, which is right here. Let me see if I can get my annotations to work right now. Is that it is, there they are, yes. They are both at a 90 degrees. My throat will just do this because I'm talking. It's at a 90 degrees, excuse me, to the lunar nodes. And so the ones that are in the sky. Just so you know, we're not worrying about house placements or anything like that in this forecast. We're just talking about the energy of this full moon in Sagittarius as it is squaring these lunar nodes. And there is something quite significant about this. And I think the first person that ever exposed me to this was Dietrich Pessin. And it was decades ago. Or it was almost. And the lunar gestation cycle too. I love those teachings from her. And one thing that she taught me about this is that this is the lunation, the full moon that is halfway between the last lunar eclipse we had, which was in March, and the next lunar eclipse, which is 3 months from the current date that's on the screen, which will be in September. And they're all in one of these, in these mutable areas. So in those same zodiac signs, really close to the same degree. And so what we have with this is that this full moon in Sag squaring the lunar north and south node in that Pisces and Virgo energy is directly connected to the eclipse that we had on March 13th or March 14th, depends on where you live. And it was what I want you to think about and what I want you to focus on, since we have collectively the nodes in Pisces and Virgo. It's like we're supposed to be moving, that axis is challenging us to move away from overthinking and perfectionism. That's that south node in Virgo, and move more toward surrender, that spiritual alignment, which is that north node energy, and learning to let go of the need of every detail, because there are a lot of undercurrents and things that are happening, but there's also a lot of undercurrents. Our higher selves, our spirit, our soul is moving, is needing to trust the flow as well. It's not saying don't do anything, whatever is your current life circumstances, but it is saying, can you let go of so many of these details so you can have this energy and this feeling of flow? And that is something that's just really important with the energy of this full moon in Sagittarius. And we'll get into more of that in a minute. But we're at this crossroads because when the full moon does this, activates those lunar nodes the way they are, again, also meaning it's activating the eclipse that we had 3 months prior to the current date and will be 3 months before the next lunar eclipse, which is in a very similar area. And it just gives us this opportunity. It's like a PowerPoint, to pay attention. It gives us, there's just so much weight to it that it creates this, this powerful energy of push. So it's activating actually a couple of eclipses all at once. And it's really significant. So do look back to that time frame. Let me grab my ephemeris here. In March, um, again, wherever you live, it could have been the 14th, it could have been the 13th of March, but look back at that lunar eclipse, which was at 23 Virgo, and pay attention, look at it, and what was revealed to you at that time? Okay, what was exposed to you? What, especially around details, right? Because that Virgo energy, at that point in time, that eclipse was about, am I spending too much attention, giving too much attention to that perfectionism? And do I need to find a way to allow them a little more flow? And then again, with today's Virgo, not Virgo, but with today's Sagittarius full moon, today meaning the date on the screen, June 11th, with that full moon in Sagittarius, it's wanting us to, besides those other things, to, just embody your authenticity, your truth, and to take things a little deeper. So this is really getting into some spiritual stuff. So a couple questions I guess we could ask ourselves is, where am I overthinking or over editing my own life, right? Am I overdoing it? What truths do I want to reconnect with? That's the Sag. And am I allowing myself to believe in something bigger than myself, or bigger than what the information or what logic is telling me? Do I believe in something that's bigger than myself? That's also that full moon in Sagittarius, because full moons, as most of us know, is when we see what we see and we release what we no longer need in our lives, right? That's what we tend to do at full moons. And so this is a great time for reflection, to realign, to pay attention to what you're focusing on, right? The Sagittarius energy of this full moon encourages us to learn through experience, explore new philosophies, if you will, and even to trust your own inner wisdom, right? Letting go of the need to figure it all out, that South Node, how it squares that South Node in Virgo, and how to follow what you can believe in and trust in your own heart, and that's that square to the North Node in Pisces. Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we want to just look at what was unfolding back in March and how we have moved through what we've been doing over the last 3 months and to where we are now. Yeah, I like that. It's just pretty it's pretty amazing. Excuse me. My share went away. Let's go back. There it is. Perfect. So with this eclipse, let's say that again. It is not an eclipse. We already were talking about plenty of them, but with this full moon, it's really important for us to, pay attention to what is my truth, what's being revealed, right? The bigger questions is, what do I believe in? We want to let go of those things, those old beliefs that just seem to be outdated now, right? It's usually going to have to be with being picky about stuff. And we might see some of these things just when we're looking around us in the news, however you are exposed to society these days. We probably will see people getting over religious, potentially, or over just honing in on so many details, I think this is already happening, but so many details that it's just overwhelming. So because this time of year when the sun is in Gemini, things accelerate a lot when it comes to information. It always is that way this time of year, when the sun is moving through Gemini and when we have the full moon in Sagittarius with the sun opposite that position. And so I want you just to recognize that this is typical for this time of year, but we're in an information overload place right now in the world, and there's way too much going on. So we're flooded with too much information, too many distractions, and we're pulled in so many different directions. It's important for you and I, we can use that South Node in Virgo energy that's active with this full moon and just bring ourselves back to a very earthy, grounded center. Virgo is the only earth sign of these four that we're working with in this full moon forecast today. And so spend some time and just bring back to your center. It's important that we release outdated habits and beliefs, but it's also important to know where your center is and what grounds you, because this is a big grand square that's all mutable energy, connected to an eclipse in March and connected to eclipses in September. And it's just going to be, it's just in a big and important time period right now where, again, we're on information overload, and it's up to you and me, it's up to us individually to figure out how we want to work through that. We have to figure it out and trust what we know as our own truth. We got to try and blend that, because I know we really feel like we're in quite a divided world right now where information that people are getting on one side or the other. I mean, it is just completely, we're just running parallel. There's nothing crossing. And I think we need to start to figure out how to come back in just some common areas. I know you can argue with me about that, but that's just something that's important. So, what does freedom of your mind look like is something else that we can look at. We need to free that up. So being that we're halfway between these eclipses, full moon in Sagittarius, what do I believe in? This is like, a checkpoint before we get to another batch of eclipses in September. So take a breath, zoom out a little bit. Sag loves to look at the bigger picture and allow yourself to see the journey, from this wider perspective. Yeah. Now, there's more with the lunar gestation cycle, but I would like to encourage you, instead of talking it out here, because we've already done an awful lot already, I'd encourage you to go to my blog. Or get on my newsletter, join my website. Neither of those cost anything. You can just come and join us and support me there. And I have that forecast written out for you. And, those forecasts are usually, I don't know, 1,000 to 2,000 words. You can read them in 5 minutes, but lots of good working points. So you can really take this information, take the notes that you're going to take, and then go read the forecast as well, and just get a journal out and prompts that will help you to process and work through what's really important to work through. I know I stopped the share again, but let's go one more time and see if there's anything else here that I wanted to really dig in with. The moon is out of bounds when it is in Sagittarius and Capricorn, and here it is, that measurement. So that means it really feels quite extreme. This could be an interesting day, because this is just a few days before a lot of events that happen on June 14th that are public here in the US. And so I think there will be, this is going to be quite an active day, in my opinion. On a lot of different things that are going on around us right now. And so I do see that as something that is, I don't know what action word I would use, but there's just a lot going on there that keeps things really dynamic. And lots of planets in early signs with this release. Full moons, again, are releases, awareness as well as letting go. So awareness as well as letting go. Simultaneously, we've got look at all these planets, everything before 5 degrees. We have Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Mercury, and Venus, all at 5 degrees or less. So that means they're babies at what they're doing. They're brand new at it. So we're going to be learning a lot of new lessons this summer with all of these, with this, at least with the initiation of this full moon. Here, it creates quite the dynamic of energy. It's super powerful. But you know what? I want you to use that in however you can. Go read the blog and you'll get more content that's pretty organized. I am a Gemini, so I know I'm not always organized. But I also think that it is absolutely important that we embody an opportunity to engage and playfulness, engagement and playfulness with others, especially people that aren't in our tight little knit group, because that Sagittarius loves to really play and explore. And I would encourage you to do that and to learn new things. And if you need any help, if you love astrology and you want to have one-on-one guidance with me, I have a lot of different offers on my website and through Patreon, through YouTube. You know what? Just email me or message me and we can have a little discovery call and we can talk about different things, because I love mentoring people, helping you to understand your chart or what you're studying a bit more. All right, we'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for your love and support, everybody. Blessings and namaste.